is all input into these cortical cells, which is processed. You know, it's something about the way the brain is structured. The 2A receptor is really an ancient receptor. Serotonin 2 receptors go back into single-celled organisms. Nature found something that worked really well, so it kept it all the way up through the evolutionary chain. The doses that produce these psychedelic effects are probably way higher than anything that would normally occur in the brain. And so you're really overdriving. You're really turning on these receptors to a level that they wouldn't normally work. And then you're shutting down the filtering mechanisms that normally keep a lot of the subcortical stuff from getting into the cortex. Kind of like the on-off switch on your TV set.
We enhanced our consciousness with LSD in order to further explore intuition and the flow state and the mystical experience. Whatever, taking our acid, going for a walk around the park and deciding how do you solve the crisis of the ego. That was our game. We used it just very largely to think better.
I think it's your move.
Okay, so play it. Okay, so let's start. Enjoy.
And a very good test of one's thinking was playing Go. If I was high on LSD with the right sugar level, suddenly you'd see things and you just know that's the next move. You didn't have to think about it. It was just intuitive.
A little bit greedy, but hope springs eternal.
All right, here we go.
Oh, the nose attached. Ooh, it's very close to being a good, very good move. So I'm a little bit nervous.
Very close to being a good move.
No, it's one move away from being a disaster, is what I mean by that. It's well known that people are worried about the use of drugs as performance enhancers in chess, but there's been some discussion of that in Go playing, and all the sort of apocryphal evidence is in Go playing, nothing makes you play better.
Go is more intuitive.
I think so.
Pattern recognition.
Yes, indeed. One of the things I used to feel about a lot of strong Go players, they would write these books. Why am I such a brilliant Go player? Buy my book, you'll understand, right? Of course, they couldn't tell you the whole truth because they couldn't actually say what was really going on. It's a bit like saying, what's it like to feel that you're in love? If you try to explain that to someone who's never been in love at all, they haven't got a clue. And if you try to explain it to someone else who's been in love, you'll probably find their idea of being in love and yours are not the same anyway. But they've got a glimmering. It's that sort of feeling with all of our thinking, I think. It's two things that have no business being together are brought together and zing, something magical comes about. All of this stuff is happening in a non-verbal domain.
If I had hypothetically taken LSD, I might say that the amount I took is just right. Just the right amount of LSD. Any more would have been too much. Any less would have been not enough.
That was our room in Embankment where I still live. This was a tiny little room, which very often had about a great many people in it. And that's me in that spot at that period. This rather clever but not attractive character who turned leery, funny enough, onto LSD, called Michael Hollingshead. He was hanging around my flat. He had a bottle of LSD, which he got from Sandoz. It was famous for its size. And he poured it into my coffee. So I had as bad an experience as more or less one can have.
Why would he do that to you?
What?
Why would Hollingshead do that to you?
To take advantage of me.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so that was very damaging. But that's life, and I mean, life comes with all sorts of traumas. And so that slightly frightened me off LSD, and I came back here, actually, and lived in a hut beyond the orchard for months. Then a very nice friend came by and said, you must come, there's a party in London, Ravi Shankly's playing on the river, you know, fun, what are you doing? So then I went, and there I met Bart. And then we started a love affair. It was obvious we were going to be partner.
Why didn't he continue working with less invasive techniques for altering blood flow to the brain, like standing on your head or even laying down in a bed or
Standing on your head needs a lot of muscular control and discipline and all those sort of things. And, well, trepanation is not easier. No, I agree.
You made this amazing film, Heartbeat in the Brain, but you wanted to wait until you had some scientific validation of...
Ideally, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I only did it actually for, at the end, for intellectual curiosity, in the sense that it's a very fascinating hypothesis. I haven't seen the film for 10 years or shown it to anyone. I'm not good at machines.
I can figure it out, probably.
I want to make sure we edit the kind of bloody bits.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? I feel...
I do. I understand. I understand.
I don't know.
I will say that it's going to be difficult to present it in a way that a certain type of person won't be shocked by it.
Yeah. I don't want to kind of upset the boat.
I understand.
Because I've got all the LSD research I want to do. I've got all the 5-MeO research. You know, I've got several big projects, a clinic and a lab, all of which I'm going to get going. So I don't want to kind of go and blurt out, da-da-da. I mean...
Pretty amazing. I really just love this. I think it's so amazing.
I rather love it too, you know.
It is a masterpiece. It's truly a masterpiece.
Do you think so?
Absolutely, yes.
It was well thought out. But, you know, it looks a little mad.
I think, if anything, this has the opposite effect. My thought is not, this woman is mad, but this woman is an artist, and this woman is very brave.
I just don't want to ruin my chances of getting funding for the research I want to do. Can we probably turn the cameras off till we get to the end?
Okay, that sounds good to me. Fast forwarding, fast forwarding.
There.
Suddenly it was through. No more resistance. The change was almost imperceptible, like the tide coming in. It was a feeling of elation and relaxation. Later in the evening, I noticed a silence in my head. Having cleaned up and had a bath, we went out and had a steak for supper to make up for the lost blood, and then went to a party we'd been asked to. All this took place in 1970. Now, 8 years later, I can say that the experience of it is as good, if not better, than I'd hoped. I think the consequences of the operation, the regaining of the lost energy and buoyancy of childhood, are advantages which should be made available to everyone. Trepanation is the only way of permanently expanding consciousness.
How would one correct that? Look at that, it's unbelievable. Earbeat.
It's sad when you have compounds you've made and you use and you say, well, you're going to retire. What am I going to do with them? I had to destroy all my Schedule 1 stuff.
That's horrible. You had to destroy compounds that you'd synthesized?
If they were controlled substances, yeah.
How did you destroy them?
Well, mostly you just run it down the sink. And you have to have witnesses that say, yeah, I witnessed him destroying it.
That's ridiculous. Well, it's like an artist having to destroy all the work that they've made.
Well, we've got the archives at Purdue.
You mentioned your contribution to these historically important clinical experiments with psychedelics, and then you've also made LSD for Brian Roth's work as well, right?
That's true, yes. Brian has had a long-standing interest in the serotonin 2A receptor, and he wanted to crystallize one of the serotonin receptors with LSD, and he said, could you make some? I said, I can make some for you.
And now he's trying to take that to a new frontier with, I think he calls it Ultra LSD. Is that the name of his project?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him about that. I don't know about Ultra LSD.
My mom had schizophrenia, and had her first break when I was probably 5 or 6. Obviously, that had a big effect on me. One of the main goals of our research has been to find better drugs for treating schizophrenia. The serotonin receptor I study, 5-HT2A, you know, it's known to be a target for psychedelics, there's no question. And also, some of the most effective drugs in treating schizophrenia block the activity. That in itself has been, you know, really intriguing to me. How can, you know, one receptor you activated and, you know, people have this literally mind-blowing experience. When you block it, some people with schizophrenia get a lot better. And why that is, we don't know. I haven't cured schizophrenia, but I solved this. This is big. I told Dave, our work is done, Dave. So basically the idea is we have this virtual library of small drug-like molecules, which now my collaborator tells me is 34 billion compounds. So it's this huge universe of chemical scaffolds. And through the computer, basically you can take each of those compounds in and see if it fits in the receptor. So for the 5-HT2A receptor, for instance, our goal is to come up with 100,000 novel scaffolds.
It would be amazing.
We can do it. We're doing it.
With the characterization of the 5-HT2A receptor, Roth has begun the in silico screening of millions of virtual drugs on a virtual receptor. 1,500 parallel processors that may exceed the output of all the medicinal chemists and pharmacologists in the world. Should Roth succeed, the product will be countless novel psychedelic scaffolds that may be more potent than the lysergimides. He dubs this process ultra-large-scale docking, or ultra LSD.
We have some now that are nothing like anything you've ever seen before. I can say that.
That's very exciting.
I can't say anything else about that. Yeah.
With the careful use of a psychedelic, you can change your internal setting so that you're right up there. I'm very excited about the future. I think we're at an amazing point because now we've moved to the next stage in the game. Science has replaced religion as the code of behavior or code of belief. It's quite a false god in many ways. At the same time, it's quite a useful tool to explore. How do these things change our very basic consciousness? Bernie was my symbol of consciousness, and I'm very excited for the future.